Okay, I'm gonna finish this up on video. There's a few things left to do. I've got to smooth that out somehow, and then I gotta take the lump out of this side right there. I'll just do the best I can, trying to preserve as much width as possible, although I'm not going to worry too much about the width. If I'm a little bit too narrow, it's okay. Yeah, I'm just going to use a template for the notching and the concavity of the base. It doesn't have to be perfect as far as width goes. Okay, so I got my flashlight. I remembered, or my little lamp, so we can see the translucency. This is the one I'll be working on. Yeah, let's see if I can get a snapshot. No? I gotta hold it somehow. For a thumbnail snapshot. So that's cool. It is triple flow. I thought that was just plain mahogany. This one is also transparent in some areas. But I'm just going to sharpen this off camera and offer it like that in the auction. You know, I'll make it more symmetrical. I'm not going to notch it or anything. Okay. So that one is pretty much done. Okay. I finally remembered to bring my flashlight. Okay, so let's do it. Let's just do it. It's already getting kind of thin. A little bit risky to try to remove any more lumps from the surface. Alright. The space heater is going. Nothing to distract me. I'm going to go carefully with this piece. Yep. Don't have much choice. I have to go very, very carefully. I might not talk very much during this process, so I can focus. Focus, focus, focus. See, I gotta take off some of this here as well. So I'm gonna work on the base and stem first. Okay. Yeah. Nice flake. That's the kind of flake I need. Not too ambitious. As long as it doesn't step fracture at the ending of the flake. And if it does, I'll try to clean it up. Like that. Right? Did it clean it? Yeah. Made it smoother. Smoother. And because it is triple flow, it looks like I'll be able to take a little bit of risk with it, because in my experience, most triple flow is pretty flexible, so I don't have to worry about hitting the bass with percussion. But there's some Obsidians where I can't do that at all. It'll just snap in half. Yep. No problem at all. Just very easily snaps in half as soon as I even tap on the bass. Some of the silver sheen does that. It's extremely brittle. Luckily, I have not napped, or I don't have much of that silver sheen. I remember at a time when I had a bunch of that stuff. I think I got a box from Jesse. Can't remember his last name. That was a while ago. Not the Jesse that has been commenting lately on the videos and live streams. Somebody else. And I apologize if I get your names wrong or I get you guys mixed up when we're on the live stream. I'm thinking on the fly is not my best attribute. Yeah. Although I tend to wing it quite a bit. When it comes to talking on the fly or just trying to remember without any references, I mess up a lot. Although I tend to just do things by winging it. Yeah, it's ironic. It's not my strong suit, but I tend to do it a lot anyway. That's where I get the expression, I just make doo-doo with what I got. It's not the best way to do it, but oh well. If I didn't do it that way, I wouldn't do it. It probably would never get done because it takes me too long to be more organized. And when that happens, it doesn't get done. If it takes too long, if it's taking too long, I usually have other things I need to get done as well. So I put it to the side. I put things to the side that are taking a long time. Yeah. Which probably is not what I'm supposed to be doing. But I've learned from the past that if I devote all my time to stuff that takes a long time, my nose gets stuck to the grindstone for days. And I don't come up for air. And then I get bummed out and burnt out. And I don't want to go back to the grindstone for a while. I've got to pace myself. I can do it. I mean, I can just put my nose to the grindstone, no problem, if it's easy work. You know, footwork, just stuff I need to just go do. Just footwork type stuff I can accomplish that no matter what. Yeah, that's easy. But if it requires any brain activity or skill or some deep knowledge, there's no way I can do it just by winging it. I try sometimes. It works okay. But I don't like the result all that much. Yeah, it carries over to the Flintknapping too. I can wing it to a point, and then after that, well, start to get diminishing results. everything starts going south. That sort of thing. Yeah. Come on, don't step fracture on me. I wasn't expecting a step fracture. It just sounded funny. I don't want those funny sounds. I don't want it to sound like it's stopping. I'm being very cautious. Yeah, usually this drives me nuts, but I'm gonna tolerate it just so I can get the last phase of this complete. Yeah, because the end result is worth it. Yeah. I'm in this for the end result. We're almost there. In this case, normally what I do is I try to do everything to support a certain flake that I want to get, or a series of flakes. Like the series of flakes, I need to reduce that lump. But right now, I'm just kind of smoothing out the edges and taking off these high spots that are going to bug me later. And I don't want to do them when it's really, really thin in the middle. You never know when that middle thinness is going to come back to bite you and break when you're trying to thin down other things. So you thin down the other things first, and then you do that last one. At this stage, I should be looking really, really carefully at the edge to make sure there's no incipient cracks. I'm kind of doing that, but I probably should spend a little more time carefully examining the edge. It's always a good idea to spend a little bit of extra time carefully examining the edge. Yeah. I just ate a big dinner. Normally I get energetic after I eat dinner. But this stomach thing, it comes and goes. Although it's it's on its way down. It's on its way out, but I can still feel it. Alright. Why do I mention it? Because it affects the napping. Yeah. Believe it or not. I gotta make sure it's under control. If I have to, I'll take some Tylenol or something. It hasn't gotten that bad, but if it does, that's what I'll do. The show must go on. Although Tylenol upsets the stomach, but depends on how bad it is, It's the trade-off. I don't usually get upset stomach with Tylenol or anything like that. So, anyways, I think it's time to start wrapping up. Wrapping up the percussion. And not get too wrapped up. Not get too involved in the percussion. I could be picking on this all day with little percussion strikes. And then stop only when I mess it up. Yeah. Dang it, I messed it up, and then I got no choice but to stop, but then there's a step fracture. I gotta leave it in there. I don't want that to happen. It's already nice and smooth. As long as I don't get too adventurous, it will stay smooth. Yeah. I can eliminate a lot of the wonkiness with pressure. But to hit the interior, I need percussion. Okay. So now I've thinned down everything else I wanted to thin down with percussion. Now it's time to just a few more flakes, maybe one or two, to eliminate this lump here, and we're all set. Gotta watch the terminations. That was good. Very nice. That's it, just a couple flakes. That's it. Yep, nothing too ambitious. And looking at everything else can be done with pressure, most likely. Maybe not, maybe I need to do one more down here with percussion, just so I can get into the interior. Get the long flake. Don't have to. It can be just a very delicate tap. Yeah, just like that. Everything else can be done with pressure. Yes, I think so. I have to make sure that the pressure required is not excessive, because if it is, if I need a lot of pressure to thin down, let's say the tip, I'll snap the tip off if it requires too much pressure for the strength of the material. And I've got to be smart about the tip. I can't be thinking that, yeah, I can do that with pressure, but when it was going to require too much or a lot of pressure. Let me reevaluate here and see. After abrading, I should be able to see where I can take a flake with percussion that would be too difficult to get correct with pressure, or too risky to take because of the amount of pressure required. See, percussion allows me to quickly remove material by using the weight or mass of the biface against itself. My expression for that is to remove the flake before it knows what's happening. I can't do that with pressure. With pressure flaking, it knows exactly what's happening, and I've got to, hope that it's not going to snap the tip off, because I'm pulling it with pressure. I'm not supposed to pull it with pressure because that's one of the things you have to avoid, but it's hard to avoid it when you're focusing on where the flake's supposed to go. It's hard to Make sure you're not bending it. You gotta make sure that it's well supported on the pad or whatever. Yeah, on the pad with pressure. When you're using pressure. With percussion, I could have it out here freehand and it'll work. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I am finding places that I can remove mass with percussion that would be too risky with pressure, because it would require a lot of pressure. Yeah, like that flake, I can do it with pressure, but it would take a lot of pressure, enough to snap it. And you only know these things through experience. How do you know it's gonna snap it? I just got a feeling it's gonna snap it. I gotta remove that bite by taking down the sides a little bit. Yeah. I do that with this abrader, and then I go back and remove any weak areas caused by the abrader. Believe it or not, the abrader can cause little weak areas when it's a very coarse abrader. It can cause some cracking and stuff, and some areas that are very jaggedy and weak. A fine abrader will be less damaging on the edge. Let's put it that way. I don't have to worry too much about using the coarse abrader on chert, but on Obsidian, it can wreak havoc on the edge. It's because of how delicate Obsidian is. Alright, so I don't want to mess with it anymore. Nope, don't want to mess with it. It's good enough. It's smooth enough. Yep. And let's see, the width, I didn't lose much. Nope, everything's good. I just need to work on the sides a little bit better. Yeah. It's gonna be not quite as wide down here near the ears, but that's okay. I'll keep using the pattern as a guide down here. It's not going to be as long as this template, but it's alright. It's okay because I say so. Yep. That's why it's okay. I have determined that it's okay. Alrighty. Simple little flakes from here on in. I think I'm going to do the notching before I sharpen the edge. That way, if I mess up the notching, blow away some of the sides a little bit, I'll be able to trim it and know where I can trim when I still have some room to trim any mistakes. If I do the final edge work right now and then make a mistake, I gotta redo the whole edge in the fine edge work again. I only want to do the fine edge work once. Yeah. It's no fun doing it twice or 3 times, because you messed up something in the notching. Am I going to use a notch-o-matic? No, I'm not going to use the notch-o-matic. What's a notch-o-matic? Spring-loaded notching tool. See? It scares the biface. Yeah. I gotta make sure I don't scare it. It's a powerful tool. I usually use it when it's a difficult material or something really thick. But it can be used on delicate materials. I just don't do it. It's not how I roll, but you can roll any way you want. That's the beauty. Take advantage of the beauty of Flintknapping by doing whatever you want. If you're following someone else's formula, it's okay if you like it, but if it's like something you think is required, it's not required. It's just something you know. If you want to do it, fine. But just keep in mind that you can be free to do what you want. And it'll help you learn faster, because you'll develop your own little style. A sub-style. Yeah, just like subcultures, you can develop sub-styles in napping. There's subcultures in napping and sub-styles in napping. So you might be a Clovis making person or a Pedernales point person or something like that. So that's a cultural thing, but you'll have your sub-style within that culture. You'll have your own way of doing it, just like they did back in the day. And we can guess that it was done that way back in the day because they did not have mass communication like we do now. They had good avenues of communication, but many people were isolated for long periods of time, and they're not always talking to each other, so even when they have communication, so you're going to be in the mindset of being self-sufficient, because you never know when those lines of communication are going to disappear because someone is migrated. I mean, people migrate and never return. Either they encountered an enemy and got destroyed, or they made new friends that don't want to talk to you no more, or you got into a dispute over the land, so now you're not communicating with them, you're just fighting. You know, all kinds of stuff can happen. Today, we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff interfering with our communication with others. Yeah, some people will drop out of the conversations, but there's always someone else in there. Always someone else to talk to. On social media and on forums. Yeah, back in the day, self-sufficiency was key. Right, that's the expression. It was key. I remember growing up, we never used that expression. It was key. K-E-Y. But now they use that all the time. How close did I come to matching the pattern? Yeah, it's okay. It's close enough. Let me trim the sides a little bit more, and then I'll do the notching. Well, I don't need to trim the sides anymore. Let's start on the notching. Okay? Alright. So I'm not going to be able to do them perfectly like the template. The pressure flaker is rather short. I can't get it in there that far. I'm just going to have to wing it and get it as far as I can. Yep. I forgot, or I just didn't do the, I didn't forget, I just didn't want to do the tool maintenance. It's one of those things that I don't like to do, so I don't do. Yeah, I'm just going to crunch them in. I've got ideas for vertical flakers. Oops, this is not good. This is not good. I almost dropped it, and there were some hard objects down there. That's what's not good. Do not drop it on hard objects. Is that good? That's good. I do have a hard time placing the notches just right. They also had trouble back in the day placing the notches. You can see a lot of the notches on the artifacts are not perfectly symmetrical as far as the placement goes. The shape of the notches might be symmetrical, but the placement, one is usually higher than the other, you know, on the artifacts. I'm going to try to avoid that. Since I have a template, it makes it easier to avoid that. Yeah. I need 2 gloves for notching. Yes, I do. And for delicate pressure work, I always end up with flakes where I shouldn't have them. Okay. Yeah, these gloves are nice and grippy. I remember having a lot of trouble with Obsidian when I first started knapping Obsidian, holding the Obsidian so it won't slip, and using the pressure flaker so it won't slip. Everything was so slippery. It's still kind of slippery, but I'm used to it. I'm used to dealing with it. Yeah. And I've learned that the gloves can help. Yeah, if it wasn't for these rubber or whatever tipped gloves, or these dipped, I've seen them the way they manufacture these are dipped in that rubbery stuff. It works really well. These are newfangled type gloves. I remember when they first started coming out, I couldn't get enough, or I couldn't get the right ones. You know, they get sold out fast. I I couldn't get the right ones because I would mail order them and buy them sight unseen, and they would be knockoffs that were not good, that sort of thing. Now they're pretty much all good, as long as they're not the cheapos. If they don't cost at least a little bit of money, they're probably not going to be the good type. If they're too cheap, they're not good. I don't know how many pairs of gardening gloves I went through, but it was quite a bit. I'm hitting the sides of the notches, so this is not good. I got to do at least a little bit of maintenance on this. All right, sweat stage is coming on. I'm already sweating. Yep. As soon as I start touching the sides of the notches, I start sweating. Yeah. All right, so here we go. See, it's too thick at the bottom of this flaker. I'm already touching the sides of the notches with that. And I need to straighten that out. See how it's a little bit curved? Perfect. Yeah, it does make a difference. It is that subtle. Even a little curve like that can make you touch the edge. Like if you're pressure flaking in the bottom and it's a little bit curved, it'll skew your pressure flaker just a little bit. And that's enough to take off the whole barb. A 64th of an inch difference can make the barb pop right out. Pop goes the barb. Yep. I'm afraid to apply lots of pressure. Okay, let me think here. It shouldn't be a big deal. No, not like that. I want a clean pop out. Let's see. If it's got a burr on it, it's not going to nap as well as a nice clean non-burred tip. Nope. Nope. No, I'm stalling it. Stalling means stop. Stop. Just hold on though. Hold on. I'll stop in a minute. Yeah, good enough. See what I mean? I've got to touch up the tip of that bar because I took it off. I napped it off. So if I go back on the edge now and repair it, it looks like nothing happened. Yeah. And I got room to repair it. Right? Right. Here we go. Yeah, like that. A nice pop out without getting too close to the edges. That circular flake can take off the barber ear easily if you push too hard. And somebody mentioned, and they've noticed this, and it's true, that Ishi the Indian, by all accounts, did not abrade with what we consider abraders today. But I'm pretty sure he did what I'm doing now is roughen up the inside of the notch, as an example, so he can press off the next flake. But rough it up with the flaker and do the same thing on the edge of the point. Rough it up like this on the edges before taking the next flake. Nice pop out without reaching the sides. Although it's getting close, I can't be doing that too much. I can't be depending on luck to make sure that I don't take off a barb or part of the ear. It's probably developing a burr. That's why it's not taking off a flake. What the burr does is it makes the tip of the flaker wider, which means you got to put more force into it. I mean, I could drive it with more force, but that's the opposite of what you need to be doing with notching. You need to be notching with the minimal amount of force. You're going to have to apply some good amount of force, but you have to try to minimize that. Just enough. Just enough. And if it's too thick, if you haven't thinned it enough, chances are if you keep pursuing it and try to do deep notches on a thick piece, you are going to snap something. Yeah, I know there are videos out there with people that can do deep notching on really thick pieces. And it depends on two things. The material's got to cooperate with that type of notching, and you've got to have a lot of practice and skill. And the material that you're knapping with probably is more than what meets the eye. It's probably a very specific type of steel, or maybe even aluminum, I don't know. But chances are only a certain type of metal will allow that to happen easily, relatively easily. In other words, if you use a different kind of metal to notch that way, deep notches on thick material, it probably will not work as well. You'll have to develop a whole new skill set with that new type of metal. Every time I switch metals, I have to develop a new skill set in the brain of how to do various things with that new metal. Why am I giving advice instead of talking smack? I don't know, I must be feeling funny. Feeling weird. No, I just don't feel like it. I gotta be in the mood to goof around. I gotta be in a certain mood to goof around. If not, yeah. If I'm gonna talk, I might as well talk about what I'm doing. It's not a no-talk video, so gotta talk about something. I think I'm hard to follow sometimes when I'm doing these explanations while napping. I could do better explanations if I do a voiceover. It just takes me twice as long to get the video out, because of course I got to listen to the whole video or watch the whole video while I'm voiceovering. So it doubles the production time. But I am going to do some voiceovers. Don't worry. I see that there are advantages to doing the voiceover thing. The software I have right now, or the app, my video editing app, I'm not sure if it allows me to edit the voiceover, or if I have to record the whole thing over again and render a new video, or export a new video entirely. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? I haven't explored that aspect. The spatula tool works pretty good to sharpen and to shape the edges. Why don't I use it all the time? It's because it doesn't really thin the edge. It just sharpens it by picking at it, but it leaves it kind of thick. If I want to thin the edge, I've got to use a rounded pressure flaker, not a spatula. See, if there's a bulge or a fat spot, it's hard for me to use the spatula tool to run a flake to take that down or flatten it. I got to remove a lot of the edge, and then I can push off a flake. But with a rounded tip, I don't have to do as much flattening of the edge. The rounded tip will catch some of the edge itself and wrap around the edge a little bit. With the spatula tool, it doesn't wrap around the edge at all. And sometimes the spatula tool leaves little step fractures that I don't notice until later. Of course, it happens with the other tool as well, but I notice it more with the rounded tool than with the spatula tool. I can fix it better, or I can be aware of it so I can fix it better. I can be aware of it better so I can fix it. See, because I can be at this angle and look to see underneath. Yeah. Okay. It's not gripping the edge, which means it's got like bits of glass in the tip, probably. Slippity doo dah. There's a strange smell. Maybe the possum is wandering out of its den. I see the tracks in the snow. The possum wanders out of its den. This is about the time where it starts to venture out for the first attempt at snatching some of the cat food. The possum will walk right next to the front door of the shop, trying to avoid the deep snow. Either that or someone's burning trash in their fireplace or something. What happened there? Is there a crack in the tip? I don't know what happened there. I think there was a crack in the tip that let loose. It came loose. Yeah. I can do a needle tip on a northern, right? I don't want this to take all day. I probably shouldn't make the tips so delicate because they snap easy. But that's one of the things that makes it kind of interesting. If you have a really, really delicate tip, you can go, look, this thing has a tip that's super crazy delicate. Yeah. Hopefully I can make it super crazy delicate without being too fragile. It doesn't make sense, but hopefully that's the hope. It's, you know, even though it looks really delicate, try not to make it impossible to handle. Try not to make it impossible to handle it. Okay. I can't stop thinking about. I was watching a independent YouTube content creator that does news, and I thought it was AI at first. I thought that he had made a video of himself as an AI character, but no, it was actually him. I was watching it for a while. Usually at AI, the mouth movements are not quite right. But sure enough, it was him, and he acted just like he was trying to imitate an AI commentator. Very stiff, very dull, very methodical and mechanical. The speech didn't have any delays or flaws. It was just all monotone. But you can tell he was forcing himself to look like an AI generated image. I don't know if that was his intent, but I'm going, dang, is there an advantage to being like that?
as a commentator, be as robotic as possible. You do get, you do get a lot of views if you do news. It rhymes, so it's a rule. But that was ridiculous. News that looks like it was done by AI, but it's an actual real human. To me, it's kind of ridiculous. I want to see a real human, do a little bit of messing up and, blink once in a while, or blink randomly, I mean, and make little slip-ups here and there, or stutter slightly. Move your head from side to side a little bit. Don't keep it always at the same angle. Don't keep your hands always in the same position the whole time. It just looks unnatural. But maybe that makes money. It'd be strange if that's what happens. I'm saying, no, I'm not going to do it ever like that. I don't think. I don't think so. I like it when the commentator's voice level fluctuates somewhat. Also, because the monotone is so boring and unnatural. He's not speaking with me, he's speaking at me. I'd rather look at someone who, I know they're not speaking with me, but just act like you are. Put some inflection and some different volume in there. If you get excited about what you're talking about, it's fine. It's okay. It's okay, dude. You can vary your volume a little bit. I don't know. I just couldn't stop thinking about that. I still can't stop thinking about that. And I'm thinking, if I'm going to improve the quality of my videos, is that going to be me in a couple years? I hope not. Step fracture. Oh well. Not my fault. Something wrong with the stone right there. Yeah. Whatever helps me sleep at night. Not my fault. Can't sleep thinking about all them step fractures. See that? It messes me all up. Now I can't sleep. It's not that bad. I am kidding, but I do think about it. So now I can see where there's some little bitty spots sticking out too much. So I'm just going to clip them off. It dulls the edge a little bit when I do this, but it makes the edge so much straighter just to pick off those little protrusions. think I mentioned this before, but one of the easiest and best ways to sharpen, I think, is to do a bevel. Even if it's just a shallow one, with a one pass on one side that's sequential, but leave the other side pretty much random. Just do one pass on that side so you get a bevel going. It'll hollow out this side, which thins the edge a lot, which causes sharpness. Yeah. And you only have to do that one pass on each side. You don't have to do 4 passes. You might have to do some back and forth to get it thin as far as the thickness of the material, but the final sharpening doesn't have to be 4 passes. It can be just 2 passes. I think that's the best, easiest, and most effective way when I think about it, and I've been asked that question, to sharpen it. Easiest way to sharpen. Best and easiest. Bestest, easiest, nicest looking. And it does match some of the artifacts. Some of the artifacts are sharpened that way. From different time periods, not just one time period. It's very common to see this beveling or the sequential flaking only on one side. Sometimes it's on this side, sometimes it's on that side, but you flip it over and you see the same thing on the other side. That's what I like to do. Okay, so that's it. Yeah. Haha. Yeah. See if I can get a photo. Is it going to show the whole thing? Let's see. Can't even stretch out. I'm bumping into boxes and flakes. Yeah, that shows it. Yes, yes. It shows almost all of it. Yeah, if I had a longer light, it would show it better. I'd like to slant the arrowheads in the video, in the thumbnail, I mean. But I want to get, I don't know if I want to have the light in the background. Okay. Yeah. Alright, I'll take a picture off the camera. So I can set the timer. That's what it's going to require. I like it. And I didn't go very deep on the notches because I'm not going to take a chance. No. It's almost good enough. See that? There's not much difference in the neck width. This is a little bit thicker, but oh well. I mean, a little bit wider. That's okay. I started to stall it anyway. This one on here, on this side looks okay, but this one I started to stall it. I don't want to push my luck and do anything to it. It's good enough. Yeah, it's a little bit thicker, just a tiny bit thicker, like a 64th of an inch or a 32nd of an inch thicker than the other side, but that's enough to stall it. Yeah. Okay. All right. There you go. Let's see. Maybe I can. Yeah, hide the lamp. Hide the flashlight. There it is. Photography drives me nuts. There you go. That's it.